Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. This is Michael Kupfer with Harvard Business Services, and I'm joined by Mike Bell, our president. And we're going to be getting started in just a second here. Couple quick notes as everyone kind of finishes logging in and getting settled. First of all, this webinar is going to be about 30 minutes long. It's a little shorter than many of the webinars that we do. There's just not quite as much that needs to be said about LLC Franchise Tax, but that being said, many people do have questions about it, and we are going to welcome your questions as we go. So feel free to use the chat box during the discussion today and type in whatever questions you might have. Mike and I will do our best to answer all those questions for you before we end today. We are recording the session, so you will receive a recording by email tomorrow, as well as the slides for the webinar. So if there's anything that you want to go back and check, you'll be able to do that without a problem. So with that, I'm just going to jump in and give you a little bit of information about us. Oh, and actually, while I'm speaking, one thing that we like to do, if you've ever been a part of our webinars before, is ask our audience where they're listening from. I know we have some clients from all over the world, so if you don't mind, just take a second, go to the chat, and just type in where you are, whether it's a state in the United States or a country outside. We'd love to know where you're from, and we'll just take a look at what countries are represented by our audience today. So while you're doing that, I'll just mention a little bit about our company. We were founded in 1981 in Wilmington, Delaware by Rick Bell. Since then, this has been a family-owned and operated company. Mike Bell, who's going to be doing the presentation today, was appointed our president this past January, so he's new to that position. We're now located in Lewis, Delaware, which is right down on the Atlantic coast in the southern part of the state. We've formed over 150,000 companies. I think we're actually closing in on 160,000 right now, and we have over 75,000 current clients worldwide. We are a Delaware registered agent and formation specialist. We're very customer focused. We provide free lifetime support, low prices, and friendly staff. We have people here in the office that are helping our clients all day long with their questions, answering whatever they might have, and really just trying to do our best to make everybody satisfied and clear on the process that they're going through. I do want to mention that we're not attorneys and we're not accountants, so anything that we cover here today should not be taken as legal advice or as accounting advice. You can seek out those professionals if you need to, if you have specific questions for your situation. And lastly, we are not affiliated with Harvard University. It's a completely separate entity from them. So with that, I'm going to jump to the next slide here, and I'm going to hand things over to Mike, who's going to take you through our presentation today.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for attending our monthly webinar. We've done quite a few of these now, so it's great to have those of you joining us, and we're going to get into a little bit about LLC franchise tax here. We did a separate webinar on corporation franchise tax, which you can find on our YouTube channel, Delaware Inc. 1, and you can also find our other videos there as well. So I'm going to start off with some basics about the Delaware Franchise Tax, just so everybody is aware of it, because franchise can mean a lot of different things, but that's just the terminology that the state of Delaware uses. So the Delaware Franchise Tax is due every year for every Delaware company to keep the company in good standing with the state of Delaware. It has no bearing on company activity or income in the company. It's simply what you pay for the right or privilege to own a Delaware company. And it does not pertain to being a franchise business, such as McDonald's, Burger King, Coca-Cola, things of that nature. The corporation's franchise tax for a corporation is due on March 1st of every year, and for LLCs and limited partnerships, it is due on June 1st every year, which is just a couple days away. Even though June 1st is falling on a weekend, the state's deadline is still June 1st for filing the franchise tax. So you want to make sure that you get this paid before June 1st, on or before June 1st. The way the state of Delaware works with paying franchise tax is you're paying the franchise tax in arrears. So you're paying for the previous calendar year. So due June 1 of 2019 is the 2018 franchise tax. The 2019 franchise tax will not be due until June of or March of 2020. So here due on June 1st is franchise tax for companies that were incorporated in 2018. They're making you pay the franchise tax for 2018. But if you've incorporated your business here in 2019, then you don't have franchise tax due until March or June of 2020. So a lot of people want to know what is required to be filed with an LLC here in the state of Delaware. There's actually nothing that's required to be filed with an LLC. So corporations are required to file an annual report, but a LLC is not required to file an annual report. So instead, you're just simply paying a fixed flat rate of $300 for the franchise tax. And again, that has no bearing on company activity or income in the company. It's just the simple price that you pay for the right or privilege to own a Delaware company. We also get the question is franchise tax the same as a registered agent fee? And the answer to that is no. Registered agent fees are separate from the franchise tax. The franchise tax is paid to the state of Delaware, and the registered agent fees are paid to the company that is acting as your registered agent. The registered agent is the liaison between you and the state of Delaware. Their job is to forward along any services or process, such as lawsuits that are served against the company, and to notify you of the annual franchise tax here in Delaware. Since a lot of our clients do not physically live here in the state of Delaware and do not have a physical address here in the state of Delaware, you are required to have a registered agent at all times here in Delaware. And Harvard Business Services has been acting as a registered agent here in Delaware since 1981, and our registered agent fee in the state of Delaware has remained at $50 since we opened in 1981. So we have one of the lowest annual registered agent fees in the industry, and we feel that that is very competitive and is a great price for us to act as the agent. So a lot of people then ask, well, what happens if I don't pay my franchise tax by June 1st? Well, if you don't pay it by June 1st and you let it go until June 2nd, you're going to find that the state is going to impose a $200 late penalty, and then they will impose an interest of 1.5% on top of that. So it is imperative that you make sure to pay the LLC franchise tax by June 1st to avoid any penalties. A lot of people also ask, well, what happens if I don't pay my franchise tax? If you don't pay your franchise tax for 3 consecutive years, your company will go void. So each year you will get a $200 late penalty, and then the state assesses 1.5 monthly interest every month that you don't pay it. And then if you don't pay it for the second year, same thing happens. Third year, if you've done 3 consecutive years of not paying that franchise tax, the company just goes null and void here in the state of Delaware. The state of Delaware does not come after you for any back franchise tax because they don't have any of your information on record. But it is good to make sure if you want to keep your company here in Delaware in good standing that you pay the annual franchise tax every single year. And that's why we're so diligent in making sure you get notices at least 6 months in advance so you have ample time to make payment arrangements. So here's comparing the LLC and the corporation franchise tax, just so you guys can clearly see the difference. So the LLC franchise tax is due on June 1st of every year, It's always $300. There's no annual report required, and if you do not pay it by June 1st, you get hit with a $200 late penalty plus 1.5% interest per month. For a corporation, it's due March 1. The franchise tax varies depending on how many authorized shares you have in the company. There is an annual report that is required to be filed for corporations, and that's $50 in addition to what your franchise tax is. And if you don't pay it by March 1, there is a $200 late penalty plus 1.5% interest per month that you do not pay it. So it is, the corporation and the LLC are very different when it comes to filing your franchise tax. We do have a dedicated team here who is happy to walk you through answering any of your questions regarding LLC franchise tax or corporation franchise tax, so that you understand it clearly and can make payment on time. We do also offer a filing service to make sure that it is paid on time with the state of Delaware. So you can currently pay that on our website right now. Just go to delaware.com/payft. You can also, if you have an account on our client portal, you can go and pay for it. Your company, or if you have multiple companies, you can go pay for all of your companies right there on our client portal. You can also do it from our website as well. We do charge a small filing fee to use our services to file it with the state of Delaware. Currently our filing fee is $59 in addition to the Delaware Franchise Tax. So it would be a total of $359 per company. Once you pay that fee, we then make sure it gets up to the state of Delaware on time, so you don't get hit with any late penalties or interest. So if you need assistance, we're here to help you, but it's not required you're not required to utilize our services, but we just offer it so that it is there for you if you want to take the stress off of yourself and have other important things to worry about. Okay, so we also get questions, well, if I'm paying the franchise tax in the state of Delaware, do I have to pay the franchise tax in other states? Yes, if you are filed here in the state of Delaware and you're operating in another state's jurisdiction and you have foreign qualified your business there, you're typically going to have to pay any local and state compliance matters along with any annual reports that they require as well. So being in Delaware does not exempt you from paying taxes owed to other states. So if you're not physically operating here in the state of Delaware, generally the only two annual fees that you're going to pay here in Delaware is the annual franchise tax and the annual registered agent fee. Whereas if you're operating in another state's jurisdiction, you're typically going to pay your income tax plus an annual report or franchise tax in that state. So there's a lot of different variables with each state, as they all have their own requirements. We will give you the basic information regarding franchise tax, but if you have questions with regards to income tax or things of that nature, or other taxes that you may be subject to in your home state, you will need to speak to a local accountant in your home state who can help answer those questions for you to have the knowledge that you need to know. All right, so let's say you don't want your LLC anymore. We are sorry to hear when clients do come to us and tell us that they no longer need their LLC and they need to shut it down. There is a couple different ways to do this. The formal way of closing your company here in the state of Delaware is by filing a certificate of cancellation. There is a filing fee to cancel the LLC, which is $450, and then you will have to pay any current and past Franchise Tax up to date to file a formal cancellation with the state of Delaware. But once you file that certificate of cancellation, filing fee plus the paying the franchise tax, that then we properly file that certificate, and then we provide you a copy of it to show to anybody that you need to show to that you formally closed the business with the state of Delaware. The less formal options of closing your business is you can request the registered agent to resign. There is a fee associated with us resigning as a registered agent, which is $79. Once we resign as a registered agent, it will place the company into an inactive, forfeited status with the state of Delaware. You will not be required to pay any current or past due franchise tax unless you wish to renew and revive that company in the future. So if you decide, I don't need this company right now, and you come back in a year and you say, hey, listen, we do need this company now, we can renew and revive the company, but there is a filing fee associated with that, plus you're going to have to pay any current and past due franchise taxes to get that company reinstated with the state of Delaware. The other way to let the company go is to not pay your franchise tax for 3 consecutive years. After not paying it for 3 consecutive years, the company will go void with the state of Delaware. Again, you will not be required to pay any current or past due franchise tax unless you wish to revive the LLC in the future, which at that time you would then have to pay the renewal fee plus the franchise tax over the last 3 years. So if you do end up letting your company go with the state of Delaware, don't file a certificate of cancellation. Many people may often just file a brand new company. That way, as it's a lot less expensive. But if you needed that company history of the incorporation date and the file number and things of that nature, then you would have to renew the company. But it is more expensive to renew a company than it is to form brand new here in the state of Delaware. And then a lot of people, after they file their franchise tax, the banks or, maybe your shareholders or your investors or someone may want to see a certificate of good standing, also known as a certificate of existence, that helps to show that the company is up to date with their Delaware franchise tax. This document comes directly from the Secretary of State for the state of Delaware, and it spells it out to let them know that you are current with franchise tax here in the state of Delaware. And we do obtain this document for you in as little as 2 hours. But if you're not in a rush for it, we can get it for you in 24 to 48 hours for $99. So it may be required, it may not be required, but as you can say, there's various transactions where you may need it, whether it's opening a business bank account, obtaining forward qualification to do business in another state, or buying or selling real estate in the company's name. And so that's pretty much what I have for you today. I know it was a short presentation, but LLCs are very easy to go over here in the state of Delaware. I'm going to turn it back over to Mike, and if you have any questions, we'll be happy to answer those for you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mike. And as just to repeat what he just said, we do welcome your questions. So if you have anything, if there's anything that's not making sense or something we didn't cover, please go ahead and type in your questions, and we'll have time to answer anything that you might have. And while you're thinking about that, I do just want to let you know that we are here to help. You should feel free to contact us anytime you like for whatever questions you might have about your Delaware companies. We're available by phone and email, obviously. You can also reach us by live chat on our website during our business hours, which are generally 9 to 5 Eastern time. And we're also available by Skype. Our username is Delaware Inc., and I know that's a little bit easier for some international clients. So feel free to contact us that way as well. And lastly, many of you I know are already subscribers to our blog. If you're not and you would like to be, there's a very simple demonstration here of how to do so. We send out one email per week featuring different content from our blog. It's news or a how-to article or, different aspects of owning and maintaining a Delaware company. We will never spam you. We're not going to send you a whole bunch of emails all the time. And we don't sell or share your information with anyone. It stays with us and doesn't go anywhere else. So we encourage you to do that. And if you do have questions, please go ahead and send them in. I'm going to start, Mike, with one question that I had for you, which is if somebody owns multiple LLCs and it's time to pay franchise tax, how do they do that? Is it one transaction or do they have to do separate transactions?
Okay, so if you do it via our website or via our client portal, if you're a client of ours, you can pay for all of your companies in one transaction. Whereas if you go somewhere else, you might have to pay for each LLC separately. So we make it very easy for you to pay if you have multiple LLCs to pay them all at one time via either our website or our client portal.
Great. Okay. And Alex is asking a question. Do you help in filing a doing business as for different states?
We are not able to assist with filing a DBA in different states. That's something you're going to do with the local county that you are located in the state. You just call up the Division of Revenue in your state and let them know you need a DBA, and they can help assist you with that. But prior to doing getting a doing business as, if you have not filed for foreign qualification and you're a Delaware company, they may require you to file for foreign qualification. So you're going to want to check and see if you've done the foreign qualification process before you obtain the doing business as.
Great. And we have a question now from Patrick. What is the fee situation for the difference between an LLC and a series LLC?
Okay, so each state is different as far as the annual fee for a series LLC. Here in the state of Delaware, as of now, you pay one franchise tax for the series LLC, which is $300 a year. But I do know that law is changing, and they are going to make you pay a franchise tax for each individual series that you have in the state of Delaware. So I believe it will be $300 per series that you have under a series LLC. A lot of other states do this as well. The state of California does it. So their franchise tax is $800. So it's $800 per series that you have. There's other states such as Illinois and the state of New York. There are some states that don't recognize a series LLC. So the franchise tax where they don't recognize a series LLC is going to be different. So you'll want to, we can try and answer that question to the best of our ability, but each state is different as far as what they charge for the series LLCs. But I can tell you it was one fixed flat rate here in the state of Delaware, but is changing very soon. I believe it's this year that they're changing the law and requiring each series to pay a franchise tax.
All right. Well, that's all the questions that we have. Franchise tax for LLCs is relatively simple, and I hope we were able to answer whatever questions or confusion there might have been for anyone. And again, the deadline to pay is June 1st, which is this coming Saturday. And as Mike said in the beginning, even though it's on a Saturday, the state does not extend that deadline to the following Monday or even the day after on Sunday. It must be paid on or before this Saturday to avoid any kind of late fees. So thank you again for joining us. We're going to be sending out the recording and the slides for today's webinar in an email tomorrow, so you will have a chance to review anything that you missed, and you are always welcome to contact us with any additional questions that you may have. Thank you for taking some time out of your day today, and we hope you enjoy the rest of your day.